Special event alert.
I slipped in the driveway and lost my keys in the snow. Which is excuse number 22 for being late for changeover, your weekly space news and variety show. I'm your host, Marty Smith, and I'm joined by Mr. History, Eric Perrott.
Right on. What's up, guys? 2 inches of snow. Losing your keys is not a good thing.
Our man in the closet, Jake Wall.
Good to see you guys.
And
Eric, it doesn't happen in Florida, does it? Look at you messed it up.
You might get a little wet.
Yeah, exactly. Mildly moist keys.
And our puzzle princess, Anna Mondragon. We're here to bring you the latest headlines and updates pertinent to all Guardians and to the other and lower branches as well. So take your seats, get informed, and have a laugh as we present Late for Changeover.
Oh, changeover.
Ooh,
There was much
that.
rejoicing.
We've been doing this for long enough. You know that pause more than like a half second.
I know. I had some gunk.
And I was like,
You're on fire tonight. You just keep interrupting people.
I wonder if I'm delayed.
Delayed.
well, educationally or like
All of the above. Developmentally.
yeah. Well, you could be like an Elon, man. Hey, Elon's on the spectrum, but look at him. He's a billionaire, right?
Yep.
Did you see the whole controversy in how he was saluting?
I know that was the dumbest.
I think
And
it
the
has
people
something
who
to
had
do
to-
with Star Trek or something. 'Cause he was just-
Well, right. It was kind of. I mean,
it was just weird.
It was
Anyways.
funny. The people who were attacking it, saying it was a Sieg Heil, and it was funny the people who were defending it, saying he's just enthusiastic. I was like, somewhere in the middle, that knucklehead is just like out of control. He's crazy.
Well, and now we have to see him on every news media every time because he wants to talk and answer questions. And I'm like, dude, enough. Take a break.
Remember when he would first like give interviews and people were like, what in the hell is this guy talking about? I remember one of his first ones was when he was talking about what his kid was named.
Yes.
Doesn't this kid have like a weird, like consonant driven names or something like that?
All I know him is his 6'7" Baron.
No, Jesus. That
Well,
kid.
Trump's kid is tall.
God.
Yeah. Tall kid.
Dang, man. That was crazy. So I appreciate it, Eric. We had to put our dog down Sunday.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
That
man.
was crushing, man. I'm telling you. And what was hard was the vet came out to the house. So I didn't want to take her because she was pretty shaky anyway. And I was like, she's going to be scared to death going to the veterinarian. So my wife found a place, Caring Pathways. They come out, they send the vet out to your house. And the procedure was a lot less traumatic than I thought it was going to be. So they put him to sleep and then they administer the whatever the drugs are that stop her heart. Right?
What was he diagnosed with? What was the problem?
She had, she was 17. And she had arthritis in her hips so bad that sometimes we had to carry her up and down the stairs. She had stage 3 kidney disease. And so it was just hard to see her compared to what she used to be. So we made the choice. And then, but the bad thing was like 2 days knowing that this was coming. That was horrible because it was like my wife made mention. She didn't mean to, but she's like, "This is the last Friday night that Harley will ever be with us." Oh, I was like, "Oh, don't." Last walk,
It's
last
like
meal,
prepping for
I was like, "Oh, it's horrible." Yeah,
prepping for hospice care. You know what I mean? It's terrible.
Yeah, it was bad. The actual procedure was pretty gentle and kind of relieving after that many days of dreading it. But yeah, it's been hard. It's been tough. So thanks for commenting. Appreciate it. Thanks for you guys not looking at the post. Appreciate that. So just like watching the episode. You don't watch the episode.
Yeah.
Failed again.
There you go. Scold.
Do you feel
That's
guilty enough?
That's why we
now?
brought
Do
you
feel
on,
guilty?
Anna.
You feel guilty.
Here we go.
Again.
No, I don't feel guilty. It's been 3 years of Marty scolding me.
Oh,
care.
shit.
Again, here's some news articles. Nah, I don't like them. Here's some history. Nah, I don't like them. All right, fuck it.
Now, let's not paint an inaccurate
I'm just
picture.
you maybe in the fucking closet.
You maybe did that on episode 5, and then that was the last of the effort.
No,
nope. I was like, all right, fine. How about if I just read them and you guys react to them? You're like, oh yeah, that sounds great.
We like that.
2 years
because
later,
we didn't
like,
read them right. Don't read them.
Gotta
read them.
Don't rewrite that history. Yeah, I have the old episodes.
Yeah,
you should hear these guys read stories. And I was like, holy shit, are you
I would just read it like twice and then just wing it. It would be story time with Jake. So Anna, here's what happened on this day in history.
That's true. He filled in a lot of the gaps with his own creative thinking.
It was multiple articles all woven together.
The best point was when we decided that there's no details in the history. You cannot add details.
Don't scratch.
Too
don't
deep.
scratch that
Too
surface.
Deep. Don't scratch.
It's a surface kind of a history.
Yeah.
No putting on the surface.
Well, I was gonna start the podcast stuff with like the 2 explosions from last week, right? So SpaceX blew up their Starship, and Bezos crashed trying to recover the first stage. So wasn't a banner day, wasn't a banner week for liftoff, but don't worry, Elon's right back at it. He's launching.
Was Boeing involved at all?
No, surprisingly.
We can just disregard the door hatches. Then we're good. Those
yeah,
are safe.
Yeah, that's fine. They might just give that up. They might just like, that's enough of that. Yeah, let's do something else. But this story came out of the blue, which is some of the best karma you've ever seen, I think. Right? It's from Air and Space Forces magazine. Former space officer tapped to be new Air Force Undersecretary.
Great.
Which is crazy.
Now we got to look at that new uniform in a position of power.
No, he's going to be the Air Force
He's
Undersecretary. He was a space officer. God, don't be so negative.
So he's but
that is a valid comment.
Isn't he an SES now or something like that? Some kind of GS, SES equivalent.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing right now.
Yeah, he's not in uniform.
And the article didn't really describe it. But
the dude got kicked up. Oh.
No, he did he get picked up?
No, he got kicked out.
Oh, I know he got kicked out. That's what I was going to talk about. So incoming President Donald Trump announced January 17th he will nominate former Space Force Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Lohmeyer to be the next Undersecretary of the Air Force. If confirmed, Lohmeyer would serve as the number 2 civilian in the Department of the Air Force and the deputy to Trump's Air Force Secretary pick, Troy Menck. Have you ever heard of that guy? Menck is an Air Force veteran and former KC-135 Stratotanker navigator. Previously served as a test engineer for the Missile Defense Agency, and he currently serves as a principal deputy director for the NRO, the National Reconnaissance Office. Lohmeyer came to public prominence in 2021 when he self-published a book alleging that Marxist ideology had become widespread in the military. In the book and a subsequent podcast appearance, he criticized the Pentagon's diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and claimed conservative viewpoints were being silenced among senior leaders.
He was the one with the podcast.
Yeah. Well, he went on a podcast.
He went on a podcast promoting his book.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Then Lieutenant General Stephen Whiting removed Lohmeyer from his post as commander of 11th Space Warning Squadron at Buckley over a loss of confidence in his ability to lead. A spokesman said at the time that the decision was based on his podcast comments. Whiting is now the 4-star commander of U.S. Space Command, one of the military's 11 combatant commands. Shortly after being fired, Lohmeyer separated from the military, since he briefly hosted his own podcast and became a regular guest on others, keeping up his criticism of the military's leadership. Now he is poised to return to the Department of the Air Force, and Trump suggested Lohmeyer will reverse or eliminate many of the policies and programs he has criticized. If both Menck and Lohmeyer are confirmed, the Department of the Air Force's top civilian leaders will each have deep backgrounds in space, while previous senior leaders have had experience in the domain. Menck and Lohmeyer would be perhaps the most space knowledgeable combination ever.
Yeah, sure they will.
What do you say it that way for?
Because
he's space knowledgeable.
What, should we bring a security force guy to be in charge of the space force?
How about the commander relieving him of lack of confidence to lead?
Well, this is the ironic part.
That was based on his opinions.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it was during that.
It wasn't through his actions. I don't believe. It sounds like it was through his own personal opinions.
There is
should have been some performance, right? Performance.
No,
I don't think it was anything about performance.
Solely based on that kind of stuff. From what we've heard and read, it was
what I understood.
I know that
his book and his comments.
What that's teaching me is that you're not allowed to have a political view in the military.
Well, and you never really were.
That's right. Have you ever?
Yeah, you never really were. But I think the sweet irony is the guy
Whiting has to report to him.
The guy who fired him now has to report to him. And I was like, whoa.
I like
That's a rough one. That's a rough one, right? So I opinions are split. We saw the text from Juan, and I get it. I mean, I always knew that I always grew up in the military. That's like, hey, you can't go in uniform to a political rally. You got to watch your speech because you represent the military. You can't criticize your senior leaders. Yeah, you can't do that.
Yep.
And to be honest, Lohmeyer did all that. Now, was his points valid? I think his points were very valid. But the way he did it, I don't know if that was the best way. But he was supposedly a rising star before that whole thing, from what I understand.
That's like kneeling at an NFL football game. Wrong platform.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, I understand your cause, but but you're getting paid out there, baby.
That's true.
Well, he's probably happy he doesn't have to wear that damn Space Force uniform.
If he goes and redesigns that uniform, if that's his one act, I'd be like, well done.
Yes,
well done, sir. Well done. Because I don't care how well they tailor that thing. That is an ugly uniform.
Ugly.
It looks heavy.
It does.
No, it does.
It does. Heavy. And with the gray pants against the dark blue, and the whole one swipe over with the diagonal buttons.
Diagonal.
I don't know, man. It's just
not a good uniform, man. I'm telling you,
ugly uniform. So,
and you go by and you look at the Marine Corps uniforms, sharpest thing out there.
Unchanged, right?
No need to, man. It sets the example. The standard is there. That is just a badass uniform, man.
But imagine this, and this is what I challenge you guys to bring back to this show. I was thinking, the uniforms that remember the BDUs, how many damn patches we had to sew on for the BDUs?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
They don't got to do any of that stuff. Remember when we had black leather boots to shine? They don't have to do any of that stuff, right?
That is nice.
And so it's like if you revived like a World War I guy and you explained to him what uniforms are and what the military is, and he'd be like, why does that woman have hair down to her back? And like, you can do that now. Why does that guy have a beard? I was like, you can do that now.
Tattoos.
He would roll over in his grave.
Piercings. Right? Just
yeah. Well, speaking of that, I made
So you can have facial piercings now in the Space Force?
No, but no. I think they've increased the number in like your
ear
that you can have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they let the cartilage one.
And I think can't you have the stud if it's as long as it's just a stud in the nose?
I don't know. Can you do that now?
I thought we'll have
what
to look.
Is this world coming to?
You were in, right, when they changed the ponytail thing, weren't you?
Yeah, and I was too scared to wear my ponytail down.
Because you had 20 plus years of not being able to do it. I mean, it's ingrained, right? You never wore it down?
I never wore it down. I always wore it in a high ponytail then.
Yeah.
But it was never like super down.
Wow.
But since then, I've cut my hair.
I noticed a little short since we met for lunch. Yeah.
Do you like it?
I cut mine too.
Are you sad about it? Oh, God.
The one that was right there, I cut it.
I did know that you shaved back down to the goatee. Couldn't
beard
take
was
the full
just too
beard.
rough, man. Too rough.
Itchy.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Well, I was going to do my own transition about beards because our next story is about beards. Right?
And Marines.
So where's Jake? Why does he do this? Why does he do this?
He had to go poo-poo.
All right. Well, I guess so. I hope I wish I had a master board that I could go.
How did it come out?
I muted the mic even. I'm just getting over a sinus infection, so I keep coughing.
Oh,
and
I did see you cough.
Warm water to
I can hear it, man.
This.
Still
really?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Just have a hot toddy, man. That's what
still all in your head.
I'm still here though.
You are
even sleepy.
And like I was saying, this one is from stripes.com and it's going to be right up Eric's alley. So, the Marines Commandant rules out beards in the Corps. Period. That's it.
That's my man.
I figured you'd be all excited about that.
See, looking back now, I'm like, I knew I should have been a Marine. I freaking should have been a Marine, man.
Yeah, if you were that gung-ho, why did you go Air Force?
Yeah.
Well, because the Marines told me I couldn't go as soon as I wanted to.
So you're impatient, so you just went to the pussy branch
and joined the Air Force because the guy said I can get you in right away.
And you may or may not have air conditioning for your rest of your career.
That's true.
Yeah.
There would have been things that I could have been shot or died or killed or something, I'm sure. But.
Or ran many, many, many more miles than you ever ran in the Air Force.
Or have to pull all-night guard duty on a Humvee because you couldn't lock it up.
The Marines have safety in mind.
We literally watched them do that in Osan. We would leave our tents in Osan, and the Marines are sitting there. Then they weren't allowed to lean on the vehicle, sitting there watching the Humvee. I'm like, what are you guys doing? They're like, we have to watch the vehicle, sir. I'm like, we're not that deviant. We're not the Army. We're not gonna fucking 90% of us don't know how to drive a Humvee, let alone start it.
All right,
but when you talk about a standard,
they get stolen
and a uniform, it's the Marines, man. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah.
I will tell you a Marine story. When I was in Hawaii, and the artillery can only shoot the big charges by going over to the big island. Otherwise, you had to shoot your min charges and all that stuff on Oahu. So we would go over there for like a 2-week training period, and we would barge all our equipment over from Oahu to Hawaii. Well, you get over there, and then everybody else flies over there. But your equipment, and that place rotates units. So units coming out, units coming in. And for a couple of days, you have everything parked in this communal motor pool, waiting for the barge out or offloaded from the barge in. So when we were leaving that training, we're professional. So when we were leaving that training area, we had guards down there because Marines were coming in.
Yeah.
Right.
Deviants.
And one night they came down. The Marines had already gone, right? And we were still waiting. We went down there. 15 Humvee tires were changed out.
Oh, geez.
These guys all night ripping off the Army because they got no money for their equipment.
That's awesome.
And our guys fell asleep, and they just worked all night taking as good a tires as they could get. I was like, wow. That's
just
Marines.
Waited for a brief moment.
Those are the dudes, man.
Yeah,
that is hilarious.
You don't put your top guy on vehicle guard at night, right? You put the 19-year-old who's going to fall asleep, and sure as shit.
So
I'm looking back. I can say I'm certainly happy I didn't join the Marines. But then, if you didn't know what you know now, of what the past 22 years was,
true,
I would have been like, Yeah, maybe I could have
a
done
22-year Marine though is very rare.
True.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
True.
A lot of them are 4 and 6 and done.
We're done.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, and that 22-year-old Marine or a 22-year career Marine also probably has like 3 ex-wives because he's given his whole life to the Corps.
Yeah.
He's
Deployed.
gone all the time. Right. That's
he gave his beard away.
That's right. No beard. None. Yeah.
Eric, you need to bring it back.
That's what I said. He looks good in that beard.
Was it just here for the holidays or something? Come on.
You know, it would grow and it would grow different directions and shit. I
gotta
could get to lay
brush
down.
it. I know you and I haven't had hair in decades, but like you gotta brush that hair.
I brushed it. I even used that freaking beard softener wax thing.
That doesn't work. Yeah.
Doesn't work.
Yeah. It just clogs everything up and then the hair still go ping, 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 ping. And you're like,
that's what mine did, man.
All right, let's get back to the story. So, stripes.com, Marines Commandant rules out beards in the Corps. General Eric Smith, the Marine Commandant, said Marines are different, even when it comes to beards. Smith told reporters last Wednesday that the service would not make any changes to its regulations that would allow Marines to grow beards. He said during a Defense Writers Group discussion, here you go, Eric. We're Marines and we're different. We don't have beards. The Marine Corps has a brand and we're making our recruiting mission. We always made our recruiting mission. And what we don't want to do is tinker with the ethos of the Marine Corps. I couldn't help it. You just got to gaining momentum when you're reading this.
What's
joined
wrong
us
with saying no.
Listen to this part. You joined us. We didn't join you. You knew that coming in. You signed up. We don't have beards, and you knew that coming in. It's like, wow.
I like him.
So shut up.
Yeah.
Basically.
Some Marines can grow a beard through a waiver process for pseudofolliculitis barbae, which causes painful razor bumps and disproportionately affects black men. That's a medical waiver, not a fashion waiver, Smith said. It's not a, well, I decided I wanted to waiver. That's like, damn.
I like the way the man talks.
All military services have faced growing legal and internal pressure to relax grooming standards as debates on social media and in various other forums highlight the struggle to balance tradition and uniformity with individual rights. Military officials have argued facial hair could prevent a perfect seal of a gas mask. That's really like the only, I mean,
that's
really,
the
if
only
you think
thing
about it, that's the only practical reason they have for you
and
to
they're
shave.
on the ground.
But it's a pretty damn good reason. I mean,
Yeah.
No,
but nobody's really using gas, right? Nobody's doing that anymore.
Well, you know, how ironic is it that when the special forces are in country,
they grow the beards.
They grow beards to blend in,
right.
I'm like,
well, we did that one story about like everybody. It wasn't until World War I, they said, where there was proficient use of mustard gas and the gas mask. But up until then, all soldiers had beards, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and it made sense. It's like, hell, you're out there. Last thing you want to do is shave.
Right.
Oh, I've had to shave in freezing
water.
cold. Oh, that's miserable. It's absolutely miserable.
But the Marines can't deal with diversity very well. Their mission alone, their doctrine doesn't allow diversity.
Yeah. You can't be individuals, right? Right. Yeah, I agree.
They push diversity.
Well,
diversity and question everything.
What you're saying is different missions.
Sure.
Need different
doctrine requires different.
Well, you need people to do the mission.
I get it.
Yeah.
You can't run Marine standards when you're sitting there on a midshift and in front of a console. That doesn't really translate too well. Even if you are wearing a beard.
With security forces in the Air Force, there's not too much diversity that is allowed in that core mission. It is what it is.
That's right.
I think, Eric, you're getting more and more radical the longer you're out.
Nice.
I like it.
I was wondering what the Marines would do if Air Force had the budget for chairs and that was equivalent for the Marines, we would all have folding chairs on call.
Oh, yeah.
The whole time. You'd have to bring in your pillow from home and be like, chair pillow. You got waiver for that chair pillow?
That's my chair pillow.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot
Sergeant
of theft.
Perron, I've got hemorrhoids. I've been sitting on this cold ass hard Baptist church folding chair for months. I don't want to hear about your hemorrhoids. Get that fucking soft ass pillow top out of here.
Go grab that MRE box. You can sit on that.
Yeah, sit on that.
Jesse
Sit on some
Polar
cardboard.
would not approve. Jesse Polar would not have approved.
No, that's true. No. But the Marines did just recently lose that case to the 3 Sikhs. Where that, the Sikhs went to court. And they lost that. That's
the wearing the turban.
Yeah, but they have the beards for the religious reasons. So the Marines lost that case, so they had to let that go through. So I guess maybe that general's just taking the upswell in like pushing back on all this stuff, and it's just like, nope, we're not going to wear beards. I feel it.
Religious waiver and a pushback is different than. Everybody's growing beards. We should be able to.
Right. So they're waiting for the Air Force's study on beards. They're also waiting for a Navy study on beards. So that's what Congress is doing. So we'll see what they do. I tend to agree with the Marines, but at the same time, I don't know if that really extends out. Maybe the Army, Navy. I don't know. I don't know if they need it. Space Force.
My point
definitely
is
don't need it.
The tradition of 200 years of your military from, I don't know, when we started going clean face to look more professional. But I think that period of time was a good thing. You looked sharp. Sure. You looked professional. You were a professional soldier. And I think that was good.
Well, it's also being part of a whole culture, accepting into what that culture dictates.
Agreed.
And that's also part of it too, I think. So
do you think China and Russia are spending all this money on studies within the different branches to see if they can have beards or not?
It's a simple no.
And then we wonder why
grow beards.
Enlisted can't get pay raises.
Well, yeah, that's true. What a brilliant segue into our next story. Thank you very much, Puzzle Princess. That's perfect. Speaking of pay, this next story is from military.com, and it'll boil your blood, Eric. It'll boil your blood. All right. A study showed that U.S. military pay is generally competitive with the private sector. All right. U.S. service members earn more in money and benefits than most civilians in similar demographics, the Defense Department said this week, following the release of a military pay review done every 4 years. No major changes in the military's compensation system were called for in Wednesday's report, officially titled the Quadrennial Review of Military Compensation. A defense official told reporters Wednesday, our retention is really high. So where is this retention really high?
Where did that come from?
So I'm thinking that the longer members serve, the more fully they understand the value of the total compensation package. That's what the official said. The assessment considered salaries and benefits such as housing and subsistence allowances. Junior enlisted troops. It's hard to imagine how they do this. Junior enlisted troops fared especially well when compared with Americans of similar career experience and education levels, ranking in the 93rd percentile.
So are these the same guys that lived in quarters with mold and had the bad water
and had the food stamps?
Right, the food. Yeah. That's the ones we're talking about.
That's the ones we're talking about.
And we're on call 24/7, basically, right? And
that's the ones we're talking about.
Leave at a moment's notice. Yeah.
Right.
And no childcare in the middle of the night.
Well, they bring that up too.
You know what though? This whole thing, remember that annual review we had to initial or we would get mailed, right?
Yeah.
And they always were like, Notary Public, you got this service and it's worth $50 a month. And I'm like,
That's right.
What the hell is going on that I've never needed this service?
No.
Other than when the military required me to do it.
No.
And
It's
then they
almost like
charge you. They're like, you should, this is $50 a month. What kind of person out there is going through $50 a month in notary shit? Like, have you guys ever spent $50 a year on notaries? No.
I don't think I've spent $50 in 10 years on notaries.
Yeah, in my whole life on notaries.
Yeah. And do you believe there were military members that did this study?
No, I think it's civilian people who did this study.
Me too.
You know, with a very express direction given.
Select few.
Count everything, right?
Yeah.
Count every little benefit you can, because we have to make this sound like if you were 21 years old out in the civilian market, you would really not be doing that much better than you would in the military.
And the military guys probably were like, oh, they've got a 24/7 cafe that's free.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, that would cost a lot of money.
Look at that. You can go eat for free, dude, whenever you want.
You have a chef?
Have you seen the chow hall? No.
That's right.
Oh, you mean the one they took away at Buckley that they don't have access to? That chow hall?
They do provide clothing.
That's true.
Look, how much would you honestly pay?
Like she's defending it.
Anna, how much would you honestly pay for, if you had to buy it, for an old school PT uniform? Like the swish crap with whether you were an extra small or extra large, it had an 1.5 inch inseam. Did not matter what size. What's the inseam on that? 1.5 inches. What size is it? Extra small. All right.
Good luck.
And you can hear the whole group of people coming for fucking 100 yards. You're like, oh, somebody's running in PT gear.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, but you could get a voucher to go get your patches sewn on. I never did that because it took forever to go do it. It's just like,
and you get your patches for free.
One patch for free. Here's one for your uniform and one for your field jacket. That's all we got.
And that's worth $25. That's worth $25. It took $25 to get it sewed on.
So even though they said junior enlisted were in the 93rd percentile, officers, meanwhile, were in the 75th percentile for financial compensation.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's that clothing piece. You don't get a clothing allowance. That's an officer.
But you get more BAH, BAS.
Yep.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Although DoD compensation is competitive with the civilian labor market, debatable, there are some areas for improvement, another senior defense official told reporters. The report looked at the effect of dual income households on military retention and how issues such as a permanent change of station moves and child care access factored into the life decisions of armed forces personnel. For military spouses with careers, frequent moves pose challenges to finding employment and advancing their own careers. Yep. The circumstances can be a cause for service members to end their military careers. Yeah, we know that. Yeah. That's been commonplace. Offering greater access to childcare was one of the improvements the report suggested that the Pentagon make. You mean like after the banker's hours, maybe extending out to 7 or 8, so you can get off and get your kid?
Dude.
Yeah.
That childcare thing is a racket anyway.
Oh.
Because when Chris and I were mill to mill, right? Yeah. And we had 2 young kids, because we were tech and a master, we were automatically at the highest end of the bracket.
Master level, yeah.
We were billed on both ranks added together.
Oh, wow. Really?
No,
yeah.
Oh, man.
Did not matter individually.
That doesn't seem legal.
How did they justify that?
Yeah.
Because that's how they did it. We were literally at the highest pay bracket in there. We were the same as a freaking general or a freaking full bird.
Wow.
I guess that would be like household income is what they're looking at, but at the same time.
Yeah, but they don't do that if I'm married to a nurse.
Right.
They don't look at that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That makes sense.
I could be a staff sergeant and they'll be like, staff sergeant pay, done.
Sure. Right. I mean, if they were really trying to cut you a break, if you were mill to mill, bill the least amount they could, because that's going to help you out, right?
Yeah.
Or make the child care center 24/7.
Absolutely, because that's what everybody.
I remember being
themselves.
on mid shifts and just wondering who's going to watch. My young kids, like in the middle of the night. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Especially on an Air Force base more than any other service, because they're running shifts all the time.
Yeah.
That and they push education so much for the enlisted that when do you get your education? After hours. There's no childcare for you.
You don't have time.
Yeah. Well,
I think this here study is bull. My opinion. Bull.
I mean, I don't know. It depends on how they word it, though.
Yeah, that's
generally
that's
competitive.
I think it's very cleverly
Yeah, but
worded.
can't you do that with any subject? When we both know, if you talk to any young airman or private, they're going to tell you.
You know, and who knows? They probably factor in like
training.
I'm sure they like, oh, you could get a VA loan. You know, look how much money you're saving there. That's 20,000. Throw that in the calculation pool. You know.
Yeah.
Yep. The military needs to do a better job communicating with service members and recruits about compensation packages and benefits that often get overlooked, such as free dental and health care, the report said.
Come on.
That's what it says. Defense officials said they would begin implementing the report's various recommendations as soon as possible. So for all you worried that service members were not making enough, don't worry. They're doing just fine. Just fine. Right?
So as Congress and the Senate continue to get free health care until they're dead.
Oh, come on, Eric.
Right? I mean, you pick your doctor, you get to keep him. It's so fair. It's really fair.
Were you ever did you ever see the same doctor 2 years in a row, maybe?
No.
Oh, no.
Never.
While you're in the military. No way.
No. So it wouldn't even be a year sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Since I had joined the military all the way up to 2021, whenever COVID hit, I think it was 2021, 2020.
Yeah.
Anyways, one of those years. I went in because I wasn't feeling good and I thought I had COVID. I walked out and they were like, here's some high blood pressure medication. But I had he was like, if I can go back at least 5 years and read your charts that show that you've always had high blood. I was like, it's always high. It's always high.
Yeah.
Like since I was 18.
Right.
Yeah.
All the way until I was like 40 something. They're like, oh yeah, you need a high blood pressure medication. I'm like, it's always like this. It's always like
that's my assessment. So maybe your next doctor can make
He'll
another
change his
assessment.
mind. He'll change.
He'll be like, what the last doctor write? Oh, high blood pressure. Okay, we got that
him.
for you. We can give you that.
Maybe you're just nervous at the doctor's office.
White coat syndrome.
Oh,
probably.
No, could be.
Maybe. I don't know.
All right. Since Eric slacked on his history, I will do a mock history, right? I will do a mock
history. Here we go.
Well, it's not mock history. Like I make
the man's got important tea times.
He hasn't even played golf.
It was raining today. It was raining.
I don't have an excuse. I'm sorry.
Come on, Eric. I'm trying to help you out.
I know.
What is cold in Florida?
Oh, this morning it was like 41.
All right, that's cold.
Damn. Where are you at? Panhandle or Tampa or what?
I'm right near Tampa. I'm in Largo.
Yeah, that's pretty cold.
We got a high of 55.
I did hear Houston got snow.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not. But
a blizzard I saw on the Today Show.
The Panhandle
What'd you
Northern
say
Florida
about the
got
Today
snow.
Show?
They had a girl up from Houston making snow angels.
Oh, really? In Houston?
Nice.
My God.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's have enjoy this. I've tried to strip this out to make it as clear as possible. It probably won't be, but it's good enough. All right. So this is from military.com, and it is about the Cuckold Flag, which is a real thing. The strange history of the world's weirdest battle ensign. So it says battle flags are usually designed to inspire a sense of pride and service duty or patriotism for one's country or loyalty to a celebrated hero. So you have to admire the pettiness of British royalists who raised a battle standard meant to insult and provoke one person in particular. That person was Robert Devereux, the 3rd Earl of Essex during the English Civil War. Right? Do you want to see Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex? Right?
Yeah.
What a fine specimen.
He used
got
that hotel
great-
chair a lot.
Great cheekbones.
Lot of velvet.
Terrible beard. Terrible beard.
Devereux came from an aristocratic family, a noble stock that both served Queen Elizabeth I and then rebelled against her. His father, the 2nd Earl of Essex, was executed for treason, and Elizabeth abolished his family title. After
He stole her clothes. Look at that thing he's wearing around his neck. Stole
That's
her
what
clothes.
the Space
Man.
Force should do.
Yeah.
For you.
Have a big collar.
That was the runner-up Space Force uniform. The cufflinks represent you reaching towards the stars, and the collar is the atmosphere.
Is the engine plume. That's what.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Ooh, that is really good.
After Elizabeth died in 1603, King James I restored his title, and young Robert, then just 13 years old, suddenly became an earl. Not long after, he entered into a political marriage with Frances Howard, also a young teen. But before the young earl could consummate his marriage, he was 13. He was sent on a 2-year grand tour of Europe. While Devereux was off completing his education, his young wife was getting an education of her own with Robert Carr, the Earl of Somerset.
Oops.
All right. So he's off touring Europe. Robert Carr is getting it on with his wife.
Oh.
When the Earl of Essex finally came home after 2 years abroad, his young wife didn't want anything to do with him, let alone consummate their marriage. She contacted her great uncle, a noble close to the king, to obtain an annulment. When the Earl of Essex, Robert, resisted, the case became a major public scandal. Lady Essex claimed that the Earl was incapable of consummating the marriage because he was impotent and submitted to. She said he was impotent.
He needed a blue chew.
Yes, this brings us to our sponsor, Blue Chew. Eric, at his advanced age, has been rock hard for 14 hours straight, thanks to Blue Chew.
Well, I ate 3 thinking they were gummies, so
that will happen.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
If only that would have saved Earl a lot of trouble.
Yep,
no doubt.
But look what Lady Essex did. So she claimed he was impotent, and she submitted herself to a medical examination to prove she was still a virgin.
Do we have a picture of this Parisian whore?
We do. This is Lady Essex.
Oh.
That's Lady Essex.
There's a little come hither look in those eyes. Okay.
Oh, she's got just in the eyes. Yeah, just in the eyes. But she's.
You keep waiting for her eyeball to blink. That's gonna blink at you anytime. Hey, big boy.
So she went and got examined if she was still a virgin. No fewer than 12 experts examined the lady and determined she was in fact intact.
Well, doctors look at her down there just to say she was a virgin.
12 of them. And they're like, nope, no busting hymens here. She's good.
What was the Earl of Somerville doing?
They were volunteering, saying, hey, I'll volunteer.
He could have been French, you know.
Who knows? It didn't have to be that entrance. It could have been,
Oh,
one of three, obviously. So
the anniversary route.
So the Earl argued. Listen to his argument. The Earl's unhelpful argument was that he was only impotent with his wife and had performed quite well with other ladies in the past. Just a 15-year-old saying this. He's 15 when he's saying this. The entire controversy became a public spectacle, and the Earl of Essex became a laughingstock. By 1613, King James gave the Earl's wife the divorce she sought, but the damage to Earl's manlyhood had already been done.
Poor
Frances, that's her on the screen, the one-time Lady Essex, married her lover, the Earl of Somerset, who apparently did not bust her hymen. So, and became Lady Somerset. The Earl, or maybe they paid the doctors off. Could that have been possible? Maybe they paid the doctors off. The Earl went on to join the Protestant armies fighting in continental Europe for the next 20 years. So this is a little complicated. I've pared it down. In 1625, King James died and his son took the throne as Charles I. Everybody hated Charles I in charge, so they started this rebellion. Right? In 1642, Parliament raised an army to fight the King's Royalists, and the Earl of Essex was voted to lead it. So Robert Devereux is now the leader of the army. Among the
Karma.
Well, not yet. Hold on. Among the parliamentary forces was Colonel Sir Horatio Carey's regiment of horse. So he was fighting with the Earl. Then there was a battle. Then Carey flipped sides to fight against the Earl.
Dick move.
Yeah.
Horatio.
By the time his new cavalry, Horatio Carey's cavalry, was ready for battle, they were flying a new battle standard. It was a squared red standard that featured a fox representing the Earl, poking its head out of a barrel. Emblazoned in gold lettering around it are the words, "Come out, you cuckold." So that's what they're flying as they're attacking him.
That would highly motivate me too.
That would highly motivate me too. What is that animal coming out?
That's a fox.
Kangaroo? Oh, a fox.
So that's representing the government or the Earl, whatever it is.
Looks more like a hairless fox.
Man, that is rough.
Yeah, it's rough, right? So the story doesn't end well for the Earl of Essex. He was forced to surrender and had to escape by a fishing boat. He was soon outshined by another parliamentarian, Oliver Cromwell, who eventually would force Essex to resign his commission. Essex would die in 1646 without an heir. Now, back to the
she
late.
Might have been telling the truth.
Maybe, but back to the Lady Essex. All right. As for Frances, she was later accused of poisoning Sir Thomas Overbury, an advisor to the Earl of Somerset.
She's a black widow.
Who she married. Both she and the Earl of Somerset were arrested for the plot because Overbury had opposed their marriage. In the ensuing trial, one of the members, and this was back before the whole battle of the Cuckold Flag. So she was under trial in 1615, and one of the members of the jury who sentenced Lady Somerset to death was none other than Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex.
Ooh,
nice. He
So
got
he's
her.
like, "You're going to death, you bitch."
No.
that's karma.
But
karma.
the king commuted her sentence and sentenced her to life in the Tower, which was also commuted, and then she died 10 years later. So,
Do you think Devereaux, once he saw that flag, was like, dude, I promise it wasn't me. I wasn't even watching. Like he tried to justify it. 12 doctors, dude. 12 doctors.
I was good with a whole bunch of other women in Europe. Just ask me.
I was wrecking it in Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was like 30 years after the incident. And this guy flies his flag about cuckold. So what a horrible reputation he had. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
Thought it was
also-
interesting. That
I
they
would also
actually
like to
did
point out that if you're saying that's part of history, that is not U.S. military history.
Oh,
that's interesting.
snap.
Well,
we empower men who are cuckolds. These days, we're like, oh yeah, bro, good job. Right?
well, is Will
It's so
Smith
strange
is Will Smith still a movie star? He's very clearly a cuckold. You know what I mean?
Well, I think his
Whoa,
burial
how they
was
flip
when
you
he
guys.
hit that guy. What is his name? Can't think of his
Oh,
name.
yeah, who was a comedian that he hit?
I don't know.
I don't know, but all the
Rock,
stuff that's
Chris
come
Rock.
out, yeah,
Yeah,
Chris Rock, yeah.
but all the stuff that's come out
Daddy
after
issues.
that about their marriage and all that stuff, it's like not too great.
Yeah.
Not too
No.
great.
Nah.
I was
You think
surprised by that
Lomar's
story.
going to send that on his first meeting invite? Just send that flag.
The
Come on
flag.
over.
It'll just be the Jenna
Whiting.
Whiting. It'll
Come
be
out,
like,
you cuckold. Office 452. I'll be in between 7:30 and 8.
Yeah, just wait till I get there. Yeah, just wait till I get there. You answer to me now, bitch.
I've got a
Get
gift
out
for
the
you.
way.
Here's your new squadron flag.
I was surprised,
Instead of
actually.
come out, I'm a. Oh,
Cuckold sounds like an Urban Dictionary kind of thing, right? But apparently it went back 400 years. I mean, they were already using it. So
I'm going to start using that. He's just a
cuckold.
It's hard to say.
Just a cuckold.
It's hard to say.
good.
Hard to say. Why is it hard to say?
I wonder how many people.
I mean, it's like
wouldn't get it.
saying the C word or a P word. You know, it's hard.
It's C-U-C-K.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
All right.
It's a different vowel.
For me, it's hard to say. Sorry, it's hard to say.
Because
You
you're
just take
so
practice,
demure
Eric.
and
Just
you
practice.
Just practice.
All right, when I get off tonight, I'll say it.
I'd love to hear.
say
I'd
it.
love to travel back in time and talk to a staff sergeant Parrot. They're like, "Hey, can you say cuckold?" He's like, "Fuck yeah! I just called this guy dead 10 times
Yeah.
last night." But now Grandpa Parrot is like,
Yeah, different story.
It's
different
I
Yeah.
never use that language. I don't know, it's
I
Is it
want
a
to set a
naughty
good
word?
example,
It's not a naughty word.
but it sounds like
Oh,
one.
it's a naughty word.
I mean,
like,
It's
it's like kumquat.
it's just
right?
saying that the person's unfaithful. He's a cheater.
no. He's saying
No,
that
he got
person
cheated
openly
on.
watches his old lady get
Yeah,
wrecked.
right.
That's why it's hard to say.
Yeah, there
That's
is
what that
but-
chair is
but
for in the
it's-
hotel room, Anna. The one chair in the corner, it's the cuck chair.
It's a good
You will never look at that chair differently now.
So
Oh.
yeah, the difference is he watches his, or maybe doesn't watch, but his wife is unfaithful to him, but he stays with her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy made a whole flag about it, rallied a whole army around it. It's like, we're calling this guy a cuckold. They're like, damn right, nice, that'd be awesome.
Oh my
I'm in the
god.
fight.
And Eric would be in there, like, I'm not comfortable with that word. And they're like,
Yeah,
behead him.
I'm leaning left here. I'm leaning
They'd be
left.
like, oh, go join the cuckolds. Then that's you now. So, well, good. I was hoping maybe we could say that enough that we could just drive it into the ground. It helps
nice.
that Anna actually spelled it out to Eric. That's what it's like. It's C-U-C-K.
I was looking at
That's the
the etymology of it, actually.
All right, do it. That'll be our history. See what
it
you did
comes
when
from-
you don't
it
provide
comes
history?
from-
You see what we got?
I
Entomology of
created
cuckold.
a nightmare.
Yeah. It was originally derived from the word basically based on the cuckoo bird, where the female bird would lay
that
the
happens,
eggs.
right? To the bird.
They would
yeah.
get
Right,
inseminated by the male bird, and then the female was like, deuces.
You got
She
to
would
take care
just
of the
go,
kids, right?
Yep, gotcha. Yeah.
Poor guy.
And now
I'm
she's
telling
got
you.
a new mate across town, and he's stuck with these little
Like
huevos that he's
6
got to
eggs.
take
He's
care
like,
of.
"Son of a-"
You sit on the eggs.
Yeah,
That's where it comes
Boom.
from?
yeah,
Really?
that's kind of cool.
So at some point they mispronounced it because it was Cuckold, and now it's Cuckold.
Cock. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's good history. Thank you for that. All right. All right.
I'll be better next week.
See,
Not
when there's a
US
void,
military,
we have
that's
to
for
fill the
sure.
void, Eric. That's the
Yeah.
all right, let's wrap this cuckold episode up. All right. Damn it. I'm thrown off without your history. I don't know how to come back to it. That was good.
I'll fix it.
On behalf of all of us here, I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let us know how we did in the comments. And make sure that next week that you are not late for changeover.
Ooh, that was good timing today.
Yeah, that was quick. Get the button in your hand.
It's good to have the crew back. And for everyone listening and watching, thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you next week.
Happy New Year!
Have fun, guys.
New Year.
I haven't been on since the New Year.
Oh, really? No, you were on that first show. We did.
Well, Happy New Year again, bro. It's January,
Chinese
y'all.
New Year. Happy Chinese New Year.
Yeah.